Tonight in 9 News, officers down. Frontline police fighting COVID in hospital after exposure to unmasked protesters. Additional freedoms for New South Wales, but the Premier refuses to budge on our roadmap out of lockdown. Home at last, stranded Victorians finally able to return from Sydney. First on 9, a terrifying road rage attack by an angry cyclist. 12 years jail for the serial rapist who stalked women along the Elwood Canal. And drivers warned to fill up now. Petrol predicted to soar above $2 a litre.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Peter Hitchener.
Good evening. 2 Victoria police officers are in hospital with COVID after working at the violent anti-lockdown protest last month. Dougal Beattie's at police headquarters. Dougal, one's in a serious condition.
Yeah, that's right. One is seriously ill, but the good news is they are not in intensive care. 2 members of Victoria Police have now contracted.
Indeed. Thank you, Dougal Beattie, reporting there. Daniel Andrews has committed to his strict roadmap as New South Wales takes big steps towards reopening. Our northern neighbours will have major freedoms restored next week after reaching 70% double-dosed, but we're still nearly 3 weeks behind. Mimi Becker with the details.
It's almost time to charge a glass in New South Wales. 9 News.
And Victorian health chiefs no longer consider Sydney extreme risk. The city was downgraded to a red zone at midnight, allowing thousands of Victorians to fly home, provided they spend 2 weeks isolating. State political reporter Mark Santomartino.
Stuck in the US, then in Sydney.
Mark Santomartino reporting. Melbourne CBD offices are the emptiest they've been since the beginning of the pandemic. Demographers say it could be 3 years until the city returns to its pre-COVID state, with calls for incentives like free transport to get workers back. Madeline Slattery has more.
Finding customers in a deserted city is all part of the daily grind at Foccacino. Madeline Slattery, 9 News.
A Thornbury father of 2 who was randomly assaulted while riding his bike wants his attacker punished. He believes the assault was random and says he's been left shaken. Maggie Rayworth spoke to him.
Screaming death threats. Rayworth, 9 News.
There's been a development in Australia's diplomatic rift with France, its government deciding to send its ambassador back to Canberra. But experts warn that doesn't mean all is forgiven after the cancellation of a $90 billion submarine contract. More from Fiona Willan.
A submarine deal scuttled and France was to go. Fiona Willan, 9 News.
A star jockey has told stewards he was blind drunk at the infamous Airbnb party that's seen him banned for a further 3 months. Ben Melham made the admission when asked why he didn't tell stewards fellow jockey Mark Zahra was also there. Melham's extended ban comes as the Melbourne Racing Club prepares for the upcoming spring carnival without crowds.
We're just going to fall just short of those targets that the government have set out, but look, that's a bit unlucky. Look, we hope our friends at Flemington are able to get there and get a crowd back for their carnival. The club will instead send out super boxes of food for keen punters over the carnival. Clint Stanaway's here now with a look ahead to more sport.
Hi Pete, thanks so much for that. Tonight, the Blues get their man on what was a frantic day of trades, Corey Norris.
Clint, Adam Cerra is finally at Carlton. We'll hear from the star recruit later in sport, while the Blues have also snared a big bulldog.
Thanks very much for that, Corey. Also tonight, Toby hit for 6 as the appeals board makes a statement. Why Eddie knocked back the Blues. He's got big dreams.
Maybe one day, I might be a senior coach, but that's down the track. Not now.
The no-effort approach that could deliver connections a mighty upset and cause for alarm why this race quickly went to the Dogs. We'll reveal all very shortly, Pete.
OK, thank you, Clint. A serial rapist described as every woman's worst nightmare has been jailed. Up next, just how long he'll spend behind bars. Plus, why roasts and ham could be off the Christmas menu. And the Bear rewarded for putting on some extra COVID kilos.
Nine News, brought to you by the King's Spring Sale. Hurry, end soon.
A 42-year-old man's been arrested and bitten by a police dog in a dramatic arrest at St Albans. More than 300 cannabis plants were found in a raid on a property at Ravenhall. The man's in hospital under police guard. A serial rapist who attacked women on Bayside walking trails has been sent to prison for more than a decade. Justin Matheson blamed his crimes on feeling inadequate because he couldn't get a girlfriend. Court reporter Eliza Rugg.
Hiding in the bushes around Rugg, 9 News.
2 firefighters were hospitalised after the windows of a row of businesses exploded in a large commercial fire in the American city Portland. The crew members suffered only minor injuries in the blast, the cause of which is still under investigation. The World Health Organization has approved the first ever malaria vaccine, which it says will change the course of history. As Karianne Greenbank reports, experts hope it could save tens of thousands of children's lives every year.
Scientists are...
Blanket bans on nuts at schools could soon be ditched for good, with experts saying they don't work. The number of school-aged children with allergies has risen in the past decade, prompting new recommendations. Emily Rice explains the fresh approach a little later in 9 News. The price of beef and lamb is set to rise as lockdowns hit supply, but you won't be able to get cuts of meat over the counter at Coles anymore, the supermarket giant moving entirely to pre-packaging. Here's Hayley Francis.
Whether it's a steak on the barbie or a fall off the bone roasters, 9 News.
A 25-year-old heavyweight named Otis has proven big is beautiful, taking out the annual Fat Bear title at a national park in Alaska. His large frame voted the most impressive in the competition, which compares the pre-hibernation weight gain of brown bears. Somewhat ironically, it's not clear exactly how much Otis actually weighs. And who's going to ask him? Never mind. Lavinia's along now. Been quite a bit cooler today, Lavinia.
Never ask, Pete. It's been around 5 degrees cooler than yesterday, but that's the ups and downs of spring. Sunshine saved what would have been a rather chilly day around Melbourne. After an overnight low of 9 degrees, the city peaked at 16 this afternoon. Overnight showers cleared out through eastern Victoria, and although parts of West and South Gippsland only recorded another 10 to 15 millimetres, that part of the state is very wet right now, so there's even more water lying around. Just a week into the month, there's been falls of 50 to 100 millimetres after what was quite a soggy September. But tomorrow we'll be under warmer northerlies and there'll be dry skies. I'll have those details and a look ahead at the weekend later in the bulletin, Pete.
OK, great. Thank you, Lavinia. Fill up now or pay the price. Reid Butler.
Pete, petrol prices are set to soar past $2 a litre, but there are ways to beat the price pain. I'll have the details after the break.
Plus, a teenage student who opened fire claims he was a victim of bullying. And special report, Chris Kohler reveals the best and worst performing super funds.
9 News, brought to you by Allianz. Behind you for what's ahead.
When you choose Allianz Comprehensive Car Insurance, you choose a 4.4 out of 5-star claims experience rated by over 40,000 satisfied customers. Allianz, behind you for what's ahead.
A 61-year-old Victorian man who paid to watch child sex abuse in the Philippines has been jailed for 4 years. 23 children were rescued in the joint operation between the AFP and Philippine National Police. A woman accused of helping to facilitate the abuse was also caught and sentenced to 15 years behind bars. The price of unleaded petrol is set to soar above $2 a litre. Live to Reid Butler. Reid, what's behind the price hike?
Well, it's been dubbed a perfect storm, Pete, a recipe for petrol Pete.
OK, thanks for that advice, Reid Butler. The family of an American student who opened fire on his classmates has spoken out in his defence. They say Timothy Simpkins was the victim of bullying and brought a gun to school to protect himself. Michael Genovese has more.
A Texas high school in lockdown. 9 News.
US and Chinese officials have struck an agreement for the presidents of both nations to hold a virtual summit in coming months, an important step towards easing tensions between the superpowers. It comes after Joe Biden told reporters his Chinese counterpart will abide by the Taiwan Agreement, which calls for Beijing to reach peaceful resolutions with Taipei. Australia's best and worst super funds have been named and shamed in a new report. Customers in a dud fund are wasting thousands of dollars a year, and the funds themselves now have to fess up to their members. Business reporter Chris Kohler.
They're meant to be Australia's retirement plan, but a long list of super funds are simply flapping in the breeze. Kohler, 9 News.
Up next, a major change to nut bans at schools, with new research warning the rules don't help children's allergies. Our medical report is next. Plus, the results are in. Melbourne's most popular radio programs revealed. And the Queen of Pop coming home to Melbourne. To finance and the share market rose today while the price of Bitcoin surged above $75,000. Here's Chris Kohler.
The share market gained 0.7% today after a better night on Wall Street, with the big banks and Woolworths notching up gains.
Listeners have again flocked to 3AW Radio, according to the latest ratings survey, making the Nine-owned station Melbourne's most popular. Overall, 3AW piled on almost 3 percentage points, edging out ABC Radio and Gold 104.3. In the breakfast slot, Ross Stevenson and Russell Howcroft continue to dominate. It's now a total of 227 wins for the program. And Neil Mitchell remains Melbourne's voice of choice in the mornings, ahead of Virginia Trioli from the ABC. Schools are being encouraged to ditch blanket bans on risky foods such as peanuts and instead focus on allergen education. Experts say deterring students from sharing food and giving teachers more training are better options. Medical reporter Emily Rice.
If 5-year-old Owen... Emily Rice, 9 News.
Melbourne's own pop princess Kylie Minogue will move home from England for good. The diminutive diva confirmed the news as she released her latest single, and fans are excited, to say the least. Alan Raskell with more.
For Kylie, it's a 9 News.
Affectionately known as Sidecar Bob, a Labradoodle partial to feeling the wind in his fur has plenty of new fans. The 7-year-old pooch laps up regular joyrides around the Gold Coast, cruising with owner Mark in a sidecar. Bob even has the kit to match, a specialised harness and, of course, those stylish doggles. Clint Stanaway's here now with sport.
Did you write that yourself?
No, but I wish I had. Goggles.
Thank you so much, Pete. After the break in sport, a swag of trades as the doggies strike. Adam's case of the birthday blues. Green's ban doubled. Let this be a lesson. And the Smoky ready to take it up to a spring fancy. After a pretty slow start, the AFL's trade period has really ramped up, with Adam Cerra's arrival at Carlton headlining a frantic day of movement. Let's head live to Corey Norris in the trade room. Michael Voss, he's wasted no time reshaping that club, Corey.
No, he hasn't, Clint. Adam Cerra, of course, was their priority, and they perhaps weren't expecting the deal to get done as early as it has, but it all unfolded today with Carlton sending the Dockers their pick 6 and a future third-round selection. Now, in a three-way trade, the Blues also gained Western Bulldogs defender Lewis Young and traded Sam Petrevski-Seaton to the West Coast Eagles. The Bulldogs have also signed unrestricted free agent Tim O'Brien from Hawthorn, but it is the Blues that will be celebrating tonight, securing the services of Adam Cerra.
Yes. Good to see that sport, Pete.
I hope he's safe and sound. Thank you, Clint. Lavinia returns now. Friday's weather, something to look forward to, Lavinia.
Oh, Pete, that's right. But being a typical spring day, it'll require a few outfit changes. Puffer jacket in the morning as the mercury plummets to 7 degrees lower through the suburbs. But then crack out the shorts. It's going to be a beautiful day. Details next. Hello again, and spring sunshine saved us from a rather chilly Thursday. After an overnight low of 9 degrees, the city only reached 16 this afternoon. Overnight showers came with some gusty winds, clocking 60 and 70 kilometres an hour around 2:30 this morning. Eastern suburbs recorded the highest totals, with 10 millimetres across the Dandenong Ranges. And these beautiful photos show there was quite a bit of fog about this morning. Ferny Creek only reached 12 degrees this afternoon. It got to 15 or 16 degrees elsewhere. Tullamarine did slightly better with a top of 17. Parts of West and South Gippsland recorded another 10 to 15 millimetres of rain overnight on already soggy ground. But life has to go on for our farmers, and this milk truck is doing it a little tough as it heads through floodwaters for its daily pickups. The rest of the state stayed dry but cooler than average, with maximums in the mid to low teens for most areas, into the high teens and low 20s along the Murray and also through the Wimmera. Tomorrow the winds will shift to warmer northwesterlies, so it'll become quite a quick bounce back to some nicer weather. Our next cool change is approaching from the west, but it won't arrive in Melbourne until much later on Saturday, so we'll have a rather mild start to the weekend before showers and colder air extend across the state on Sunday. Now, we all know our performers are doing it especially tough right now, so let's support them as they deliver entertainment straight into our homes as this year's Melbourne Fringe Festival kicks off. With 126 shows live and on demand, we can expect the unexpected as actors, comedians, musicians, dancers, DJs and designers bring us 2.5 weeks of brilliantly bizarre experiences. Spring weather can also be a bit bizarre, and tomorrow is definitely something to look forward to. Although for inland areas, there's a rather chilly night to get through first. Horsham is forecast to drop to 0 with widespread minimums of 3 and 4 degrees through northern districts. After that, we can expect maximums around 5 degrees higher than today. Mildura will take a bigger jump, heading for 27. Most locations will climb into the high teens or low 20s. It'll be a little chilly across parts of Melbourne tonight, with minimums of 5 and 6 degrees. And in the northeast, Yarra Glen is forecast to drop to 1, and there'll be some patchy fog about as well. But then it'll be a mostly sunny end to the working week, with maximums of 20 and 21. Then a mild night, a low of 12 degrees before a top of 23 on Saturday. Then showers from around 5 or 6 p.m. Not as nice on Sunday. Another 10 millimetres of showers, even some hail, and quite chilly, just 15 degrees. 15 again on Monday with a light shower or two. From a low of 5, we'll get the spring bounce on Tuesday, a top of 20. 22 on Wednesday with up to 10 millimetres. Then it's looking a bit nasty next Thursday, 15 millimetres and 16 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and after an overnight low of 7. The city's set to warm up to 21 degrees. Can't wait, Pete.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you, Lavinia. And Melbourne, that's what's news this Thursday. Tracy's next with the current affair. Enjoy your evening and good night.